will be recording the whole lecture, and then the link will be shared. So you don't need to like press record. You can if you want, but I will be recording it anyway. Okay, so welcome everyone, and thank you very much for your interest in joining this course. So my name is Ali. I'm just going to turn on my video for a very short while so that you can see me. So that's me. Hello. I'm a lecturer at the computer department at LSBU, and we are running this bootcamp to enable all interested bodies, basically, if they want to sort of get an introduction into AI, machine learning, data science, whether you have an engineering background or whether you have art or I don't know, psychology background, whatever. This would be a fantastic tool that would enable you to sort of, you know, extend your skills in terms of being able to manage data specifically now in different disciplines. So today is going to be the first day. Now, I've had emails from some of you asking me that, okay, I'm really stressed. I don't know anything about Python or programming, how complicated it's going to be. And some of you already have some experience, basically. So just to know, make a note, we will be starting from scratch, and I will be taking it very, very simple to start with. This is to ensure that everybody benefits from this, okay? So during the first couple of weeks, or well, more than a couple of weeks, I will try to ensure that all of you become perfectly familiar with Python programming in terms of, just the understanding the Python body, the Python language itself. But then when we move into trying to show you how to, use Python for data science and machine learning, gradually I will introduce different sort of packages associated. We call them libraries. Yeah, so these are like modules that you can use in your Python environment to enable you to undertake tasks related to machine learning, visualizing data, computer vision, and etc. etc. Yeah, but we're gonna take it really light. Start basically with Python, okay, and ensuring that all of you have a full sound, grasp of, being able to code in Python to start with, and then we move on, to gradually enhance the level of the course. Okay. All right. So the first thing first, guys, we are going to be using the Google Colab environment. Now, when you code in Python, especially for those of you who are completely fresh to this, so there are different platforms that you can run your code. Okay. Now, my favorite one, especially for data science and machine learning, is Google Colab. You are welcome to practice other platforms such as Jupyter Notebook or Spider or God knows, like there are many of them. It's up to you. But for me, Google Colab, especially for machine learning, deep learning, I think is the best platform. Okay. Now, to use Google Colab, you will need a Google account, which I'm sure most of you have. But what I'd like you to do, and in fact, I had a class this morning of my own MSc students, and I always recommend this. I would suggest that you go ahead and create a new Google account, okay? So if you already have a Google account that you're using for your, social life or whatever, that's fine. I would really highly suggest that you don't mix them together. So the first thing first, I would like all of you now, okay, to start a new, fresh Google account. And in fact, I have done that today myself to just illustrate that to you. So I've gone by and I've created a Google account. So if I go and say, that's my Google account, it's fresh out of the, box basically. So can I ask all of you, okay, to start a fresh new Google account, please? Yeah. So it should take you maybe 2-3 minutes to do that. Yeah. And once you start your Google account, I will take you through how to access the Google Colab environment. and how to manage your files, because these are really important for you to understand this before we even go ahead to do any coding. Yeah. So I'm going to give you about, let's say, maximum 5 minutes. For those of you who've been in my class and you have already set up a new Google account, well, you can just relax. But for those of you who haven't, can you please go ahead and start setting up a new Google account that is going to be separate from your, existing Google account, basically. Yeah. So it's 18:06. Shall we say 4 or 5 minutes? Yeah. And if you have any issues, let me know. So I'm just going to wait for you to set up your new Google account and then come to this page. Just a Google account, once you set it up, uh, have it ready so that we go to the next step. So there you go. I'll leave you to it for the next 4 or 5 minutes. I'm going to go on mute, but I'm here in case you need me. Okay, I just noticed some new students joined in. For those of you who have just joined in, I've asked rest of the students to set up a new Google account. As you can see, I've just a Google page open. So please go ahead and set up a new Google account that is going to be dedicated to your Python work, okay? Because we're going to be working with the Google Colab environment and you need this. So if you just joined in, that's what everybody else is doing. If I'm quiet, that's what we're busy with. Now, I have a question. If we are not going to use Google Colab, do we still need to create a new Google account? As I said, I highly recommend that you do so. Yeah. The reason for that is later on, when we get to using, when we go to using deep learning sort of models, obviously your computer doesn't have a powerful GPU. With a Google account, you can utilize Google's GPU. So I would say, yes, please go ahead and set up a new Google account that is going to be only dedicated for this course or anything. Well, you will later on realize that you will use it for any project that you have dealing with data. But yeah, I would say definitely try to do that. Okay. Can those of you who have set up a new Google account just put your hands up? I just want to see how many have managed to set up new accounts. Perfect. Great. So I see some of our friends are still busy, so we give it another couple of minutes. Alright, so how many do we have? 19. All right, so let's just have another minute. So it's 18:11. Let's just wait until 18:12. So please do it as soon as you can. Okay. تو سی ببندین در دیگه. فرو بگو روشن کنه مایه رو بزن. Okay, so shall we move on? You can put your hands down now, guys. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to move on. So I hope that all of you are now on a page like this, yeah? So this is a basic Google account that you have, yeah? If you just look at this section, you don't need to do this, but you have some access to your Gmail, Drive, and blah, 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 calendar. We will get back to that later. You would usually use your Drive, but what I want you to do in the first step, come here and type Google Colab, yeah? Now, once you type Google Colab, Google would take you to Google Colab. Welcome to Colab, okay? So I want you all to do that and search for a Google Colab. I know for some of you who are familiar with this, it might basically be a bit boring at the moment, but I ask you to sort of bear with us until we get there, because many of us don't know this, so it's best to ensure everybody starts at the same page, so everybody benefits. Okay, so welcome to Google Colab, and what I want you to do is just click on it. Once you click on it, ignore what I have here. Yours probably, if you have never done this before, it would be empty here. Okay, it would be empty here. In fact, I'm going to just clear history. Yeah, that's just the history. So why it didn't clear? Yeah. Okay. So you should have something like this. Yeah. At the moment, if you have just started this should be empty as it is, because you're about to initialize, basically, like utilize the Google Colab facility available from Google. So if you notice here, it says open a notebook. Okay, it has example, recent, Google Drive, GitHub, upload. We're going to ignore all of that. Gradually, I will teach you how you deal with those as well. But for the moment, what we're going to do is to click on the new notebook, okay? So we're going to click on the new notebook, and this should come up. I don't know if you hear my kids in the background. I do apologize, but they shout sometimes. Okay, let me just close that. All right. So this is now a new notebook. What we have here is a new notebook. Technically speaking, this is going to be your Python platform. Here is where you will be coding and you will be running your code. And, this is where basically you will be doing all your stuff. Okay. So every time you start this, a new untitled .ipynb file is created. Yeah. All right. Pay attention to the extension, the ipynb file. This is a Python file basically that then you can share even when you write a code and you want to share it with somebody else so they can open it as well. This is going to be the file. Now you can change the name here. So what we're going to do, for example, we're going to say lecture 1, okay? And I suggest that when you write the names, try to use underline to separate different things. So don't do lecture 1. That's not good. Do lecture 1, I don't know, Python, whatever you name it, but Python class, okay? lecture 1 Python class, and just press enter. So now this is basically saved here, and it automatically is saved in your Google Drive as well. Okay. Obviously, we haven't written any code yet. Okay. But this will be available in your Google Drive. Now, to check that, if I go to my home, just check this out for a second. You see, it has come up. If I go, do you remember I said go to your Drive? So when you go to your Google Drive and you say My Drive, you see there is a folder already there called Google Notebooks. Okay, so there's a folder called Google Notebooks. And if you click on it, you see that the file we just created, okay, it's available there. If I hadn't changed the name here, which was untitled something, this would have been under that name, yeah? But it's at the moment, it's following the name that we adjusted in the heading up there, right? Now, it's very, very, very important that from day one, you do this in an organized manner. The reason for that is if you don't and you constantly come up and you go like, okay, don't do this, just watch what's happening, yeah? Google Colab, yeah? And I'm going to go Google Colab and start a new notebook. Okay, thank you very much. It's loading it. So I just want to practice something today, and I just want to, I don't know, like practice 2 plus 2, 2 plus 1, and I'll run it. I just assume that this is like a code I'm working with, yeah? And I'm basically getting tired, and I leave it, and I go and look, I'm just going to close it, yeah? So file, I don't need to save this frequently because it does it automatically, but usually it's best practice to save. So I'm going to save it and I'm closed. Look at that. It's going to be there, untitled. Yeah. So if next day I'll come and again say Google, as I said, you don't need to do this. I just want to demonstrate this to you. So I'm just starting another one and I'm going to say new notebook. And I'm going to, I don't know, name it John, James, whatever. Yeah, let's just say that's the file. Okay, so save. Let's say I've written a long code here and I'm going to just close this. Look, it's appearing here. So the reason that I say from day one try to be organized is that gradually as you practice and you keep making these codes, all this is going to be filled up and then you're going to have difficulty finding your files. So what you want is your Colab notebook folder to be tidy from day one, which is today. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is when I'm going to come here, first of all, let's delete these. Yeah. So these were junk. Move to bin and move that to bin as well. Okay. So those are deleted. I'm going to form a new folder. So you come here, you right click, new folder, and then you're going to name it the Python Bootcamp 2025. Okay, so that's going to be my folder. That folder is there, and I'm going to move my lecture 1 Python class in there. This is especially important for those students who are doing MSc Data Science or MSc Applied AI, because most probably, well, not most probably, 100%. In your other modules, such as deep learning, machine learning that you will undertake, you will be having your codes there. So it's really important that you would have the relevant folders so that when you carry out code or tasks with one particular course, for example, you create a new folder and you call this your machine learning, yeah? Folder, I mean, like, let's just say that, yeah? So when you go and create a code in your class or your lecturer gives you a code, you can then move it and organize it in this. So next time when you come to your drive, my drive, and you go to your Google Colab notebooks, okay? Everything is structured properly. So if you want to see one of our lectures or one of our codes, you would be here, and there you go, lecture 1 Python class 1. If you don't do this from day one, you're going to end up with a really, really crazy sort of, it's going to be a jungle of files basically there, and it's going to be really untidy. So try to do that right from day one. Now, the good thing with Colab is that once you do it here, you can always access it from any computer which is connected, which is online. Okay, as long as you log into your Google account, you can access your Python file basically and work on your code. Okay, is that clear to everyone? Does anyone have any question? If so, can you, I see a couple of hands are raised. Is that related to this? So go ahead and ask me your question, Odile or Safwan. If you have a question, I see your hands are raised. Okay. Ah, so maybe it was from before. Does anyone have any question? Has anyone, is anyone confused about this or likes me to repeat any of that? Don't be embarrassed, don't be shy. Ask me if you need me to explain anything again, because I want you to start, having a full understanding of everything basically with this from day one. Yep. Okay, very good question. Very good question. So if this file, yeah, if this file, I mean, let me just do that. So this file, I'm going to do this, yeah. I'm going to, I don't know, write something else here as well, okay? So this file, okay? Because I've already moved it to this folder, because it's in this folder, it will remain there, okay? It will remain here. So it's only when I start a new notebook that it will go directly into Google Colab. Yeah. So let's see. So if I come here, you see, and if I close this, I'm just going to close this. Okay. So I'm going to close it. All right. Changes that you made may not have been saved. If you see this, cancel because it automatically saves it, but it takes us some time interval. If you see that, definitely make sure you save and then you leave. So I'm going to just close this, okay? And I want to access this file again. So I can go there and I can open it up, okay? So obviously it's going to take some time and your code is available. Alternatively, if I say again, Google Colab, I want to start, fresh new notebook. So look at that. When you come in, do you see that? These are in history. Do you remember we made these before and I deleted them, but they are still in the, what do you say, in the bin box, whatever they call it. Yeah, so they're still there. These are the history files that you have basically used before. So it just brings them up to help you if you want to just go back to a program that you were last working on, okay, which is this case. So you can either click here, all right, or you have this option, upload. This is when you have a file in your computer. Okay, so you have an IPYNB file, somebody else emailed it to you, you saved it in your computer, and you want to open it, but we're not going to go there yet. Yeah, but recent would give you that. Yeah, or if you want to start your own Google Drive, look at this. Yeah, so your Google Drive is going to bring you, like the files basic that you have available. Otherwise, if I say new notebook, by default, every single new notebook that you start, yeah, is going to fall into your Colab notebook folder, and it's going to be it's not going to have its own home. So make sure as soon as you form a new file, you move it to its relevant folder. So going back to your question, once you move a file to a particular folder, it will be there forever until you decide to change it. However, there is always this option that I'll tell you what when this would happen. Yeah. So let's say you are working with this code and this is your project. Okay. And you see this code is working really well. This is really important, guys. Yeah. So it's working really well. You really like it, but you are thinking to yourself that what if I change such and such parameters, but you don't really want to lose your original file. Okay, so let's say you have written 500 lines of code and you want to change a section of it, but you don't want to tamper with your file because you really like it. It's been working so far. You just want to see if those changes would make an improvement. What you can do, okay, look at this. Save a copy in Drive. So again, I go to File, yeah. I want to clone this file, yeah. I want to have one similar to this, but a different one. If I go to File and I say Save a copy in Drive, okay, let's see what happens. So do you see here? It's creating a copy, and look at that. It created a new file and it named it. So if you remember, your first notebook was named Lecture 1 Python class. He has created a copy of, okay? Copy of Lecture 1 Python class. Let's see where is this now, okay? So Colab notebooks. Do you see what happened? Copy of Lecture 1 Python class is not in your bootcamp, okay? So if you want this to be there, now you need to move it there. Otherwise, if I open this, the original file is here. All right. Very, very important. So when you open this up, like it's open at the moment. It's going to be it's going to be in the main Google Colab, folder. And you need to move it to wherever you want to move it. It won't go because you copied the original one. It won't generate a new copy in the same folder. It will be in the default Google Drive, basically, folder. And, well, this is just exactly the copy of that. In this instance, you come and do some coding, and I don't know whether it works or not, whether you decide that making this change was good for the program you were writing or for the algorithm that you were investigating. It's up to you if it's to make that decision. If you think that it was rubbish, it was a bad attempt, your first code is intact in its place and you haven't undermined it. So you can then go back and say, okay, yeah, this was this didn't work out. It's not good. So move it to bin. Okay, and let's just move this to bin as well. But remember, also you get this bar here, 10 megabytes of 15 gigabytes. So a free Google account gives you a maximum of 15 gigabyte of memory, yeah, that is available to you. At the moment, 10 megabytes is used. Now, gradually you will see that as you make these files and as you start working, especially for data science and applied AI students, you will see that this starts getting filled up. And once you reach the 15 GB, then you're going to be in trouble because you don't have enough space to create or save more files. Hence why I asked you to dedicate a new, basically, Google account for this, so that right from day one, it's neat and tidy and dedicated for your Python work, basically. Okay, is that clear, everyone? Or does anyone have any questions? Are you sure? Because I have three with the same mobile number, and he has never told me that. Okay. All right. In that case, if you're facing that issue, because I've never faced it, but maybe that's something new, I don't know. In that case, then it doesn't matter. Go to your drive, so your existing Google account. Okay. So if that's the case for the moment, just go to your existing Google account, go to your My Drive, okay? And just go to your Colab notebooks. If you have never used it for Python, this should be empty. So for those of you who haven't been able to set up a new Google account, I want you to go to your My Drive, then click on Colab Notebooks and confirm to me you don't have anything in there and it's empty. So go ahead, please, those of you who didn't manage to set up a new Google account. I'm hoping that all of you say yes, we definitely don't have anything in there. Okay. Well, that's fine. Well, if you don't need it, you can delete it. If you want to keep it, keep it. But fine, go to your drive and just like this, create a new folder and call it Python Bootcamp 2025. Okay. So then as we make these lectures gradually, you can basically, what do you say, know that you're starting from a fresh, clean sort of starting point. Yeah. That's interesting though. I didn't know like why is that? Because I have three Google accounts and all are with the same mobile number. I don't know, maybe it's because of people like me, using the same mobile for different accounts, and Google has decided to punish. Uh, I will actually try it tonight. Yeah, I will try that. No, because I use these codes for my own work, so like I do Python for plasma physics analysis. I have another one for time series. And believe it or not, they get so mixed up. Okay, like I got so many projects and files going on that I've decided to have different Python files sorry, different Google accounts for each. And he has never objected to me. But yeah, okay, cool. I will try it tonight actually and see if I can set it up. By the way, guys, can you hear my kid's voice in the background or is that okay? Okay. Sorry? You mean they didn't send you that verification code or something? Uh, uh-huh. Okay. So what's the issue? What's the problem? Is it all okay now? So you have two accounts. All right. So what's happening? Maybe Google is discriminating against some of us. I don't know. Honestly, this is I don't know because I have never encountered, and it's interesting that you said that as well. So why some of you are restricted to one account for phone number? Okay, no problem. Okay, all right, cool, no problem. All right, so that was. Mhm. I think the problem is he doesn't have a second number. Okay, that's fine. All right. So let me see if there is anything else that we want to cover from here because it's really important that you sort of grasp this. Yeah. Later on, well, I will show you the other bits of, for example, when we want to upload files, when we have like, for example, car sales or insurance data or stuff that you will start to practice with. Let's leave that for its time, yeah? So we don't need to go into that. I will need to show you how to import Excel files, CSV files into this so you can play with it and manipulate the data or like run codes on them. But for the moment, I want you guys to be fully comfortable with this, like with your platform. So today I'm going to take it light. I'm going to just give you a very light introduction to some coding, okay? And then from next week on, we keep building on it. And I don't want you guys to get tired, basically, suddenly. Now, first thing first, guys, when you want to write a code, let's say we have started our lecture one now, yeah? When you want to write something that doesn't lead to any code, it's just you want to write, I am so happy to start coding today, yeah? So this obviously has nothing to do with a Python algorithm. If you use this, this hash mark, yeah, that enables you to basically write something without it giving you an error. So if I run it like that, I'm happy to start coding today. Let me make this. Is the screen large enough, by the way? Can you read? Can you see it well? Let me make it bigger. Okay. So if I run it like this, let's see. By the way, to run your code, you can either click on this play sign or you can press Shift Enter, whichever is easy for you. So either have a click on that, press Shift Enter, or you can just click on this. So if I run this, I'm going to get an error. And this is the simplest error, invalid syntax. It means the syntax, the code you're giving me has a problem. I'm not able to compute this, yeah? But this was not supposed to be a code. This was, for example, this was going to be a note you're leaving for yourself. So I am leaving this note for myself, okay? And I put the hash sign there here. So if I do it now, I'm not going to get an error, okay? And it's just going to be there without any interference. So I can start coding in this section, okay? So the right title for this is that we're going now to be looking at Python data types, okay? So you can now go ahead and code along with me. So on the first cell, write Python data types, Shift Enter, or just play the sign. Now let me bring a slide up for you. All right. All right. Blah, blah, blah. I think we have talked about this, like obviously, guys, nobody's able to teach you programming. What I'm doing here with you is that I'm giving you a direction toward learning Python. Ultimately, you learn as much as you code, yeah? It's like, you cannot sit and look at somebody and teach them English or Japanese, yeah? You can tell them, all right, this is the Japanese word for that, this is the English word for this. This is the grammar rules and a structure, but ultimately they need to go and speak and listen to people to learn. It's the same with Python or any other computer language. Ultimately, the more you get your hands dirty and you code, you're going to learn. So just attending a lecture and then saying, okay, that was fantastic. We heard Ali's beautiful voice, and now that's it. Abracadabra, I learned Python. It doesn't work like that. This would really require you to go and then practice after this, yeah? At least, when you start, couple of hours. If you have a background in engineering and your life doesn't depend at the moment, your course doesn't, your marks don't depend on doing Python, you can spare a couple of hours a week after each lecture or a couple of days after the lecture to sort of get a grasp of things. But if you're applied AR or MSc data science, you technically need to be sort of practicing every night. I'm going to be honest with you. Okay. Now, let's get introduced to the Python data types. Yeah. Obviously, when we start coding, and we are using the Python as our sort of platform. Python ultimately as a computer language, it would be dealing with data, the data that you give it, And it's very important that you have a very good grasp and understanding of these data types. Yeah. So the most common data types basically uh, are integers, which are whole numbers, floating point numbers like 3.2, 100.2, and this is a whole number. We have a strings, which are like ordered sequence of characters like Ali, LSPU. We have lists, okay? Well, everyone, I'm sure you guys know what a list is, but in terms of Python, they are ordered sequence of objects, okay? We will get to all of these step by step. Then we have dictionaries, and these are key value pairs, okay? Then we got tuples, which are ordered immutable sequence of objects. Now, for some of you who are familiar, what does that mean? Ordered immutable sequence of objects. It just basically means, just think of it. I shouldn't use the word list, but I would say just think of list of data that you put in there, basically, but you cannot change it. With the lists themselves, you can change them later on. If this doesn't make any sense, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. I want you to, for the moment, just become familiar with these names. So we have integers, very simple, just whole numbers. We have floating points. We have strings. We have lists. And we have dictionaries, tuples, sets, and booleans. Yeah. So if you were to like think that you are building your Python skills, yeah, ultimately everything that you will do, no matter how complicated in future, is going to rely on your algorithm or your program to processing and managing data in this form. Okay, so let's go step by step and look into this. So shall we start with, so you can code along with me, integers. Yeah, integers, what are they? Now, you don't have to say integers, what are they? You can just say integers. You know, these notes are basically to give you a guide that, okay, we're going to be working on integers. All right, they're just Python numbers. You know, like if I write A equals 10, yeah, and I press Shift Enter, A now is an integer. If I say there is a command called type A, it would give me int, yeah? So as you saw before, int, yeah? So whenever you have something and you type, it would return back what sort of data that is in your basically computer. What is it? So 10 is just an integer, and now we have allocated A to 10. But remember something, if I come and say A equals 20, this will now override the previous command, yeah? And if I call A, it's going to be 20, not 10. Okay, so I'll just reassign this. But anyway, so we got these whole numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I mean, like, or how about this? And then A, yeah, A is minus 10. Yeah. Now, then we have floating numbers. Yeah. And I'm sure you easily can tell what floating numbers are. Yeah. So if I say, again, I'm going to use A here. A equals 3.2. Okay. A equals 3.2. So type of A, okay, is a float. So a floating point number is a float number, yeah, is a different, it's basically treated differently. Yeah. At the moment, you might be like, all right, well, they're both numbers. What's a big deal? Later on, you will realize that when we get to more sophisticated, more sort of involved code, yeah, that it matters. It really matters what sort of number you are giving to a particular algorithm. You don't need to worry about it now. All I want you to know is that if you got 3 point, 10 point, I don't know, 1 point something, that's a floating point, that's a floating number. And if it's a whole number, it's an integer. Okay? Very important for you to understand that. So then we have, let's look at strings. Yeah. All right. Strings, the ordered sequence of characters. Yeah. So let's look at the strings. So these were, let me just do this. I think we can go and try with the mod operators before. So let's look at the string as well. So I'm going to say A equals Ali is my teacher. Okay. Now I'm going to run this. So this is a string. Yeah. So by default, you would think that I'm assigning A to a string, especially for those of you who are new to this. So let me run this. And straight away you get an error, syntax error. All right. The reason is to set a value as a string in Python, you need to have this. Okay. Now is a string. Okay? So you need to have, let me just give this space, these two. Okay. Very important. They need to be there. Otherwise, it won't be a string. So if I say A equals Ali is my teacher, now I'm going to say type A. It returns str. It means it's a string. Okay. Now there are some operations like when you do like mathematical operations. I need to cover this just so that let's look at some basic math operations just so that we know what we are dealing with. So obviously a plus 7 plus 2 returns 9. Yeah, so a plus is a plus. Everybody knows that, so we're not going to waste time on it. 10 divided by 2, sorry. 10 divided by 2, 7 divided by 2 is 3.5. Okay. So the division is basically, front slash. Minus is a minus. Okay. Now, one that would be maybe not all of you have seen is this sign. Yeah. So I'm going to run, let's do it like this. Yeah. 10 percentage sign and I get 2 and I get 0. What this gives, yeah, this is the mod operator is called, yeah, and it basically tells you that if you divide 10 by 2, what's the residual? What will remain? Obviously, it will be 0 because 10 is divisible by 2, okay? Whereas if I was to give 3, okay, you get this value because 1 is remaining, yeah? So it's the residue. So the mod operator, you might be like, all right, why do I want to use this for? This is, for example, again, these are operations that you need to become familiar with, and you will gradually appreciate and learn where they become useful. For example, when it comes to finding if a list has any odd numbers in it, basically, you can run this command, yeah, and then use this mod operator to find out if you have any odd or even numbers in there. But for the moment, just remember this, yeah, that's the mod operator. Let's see, numbers. As I said, like you can assign basically variable. This is called variable assignment. So if we're gonna say, let me just write it, variable assignment, okay? So we're going to say Ali equals 3, James equals 5, okay? So now in the memory, yeah, Ali is assigned to number 3 and James is assigned to number 5 mathematically. So in real life, if I say Lisa plus Emma, what am I going to get? Look at the error. Name Lisa is not defined, okay? And it doesn't even bother talking about Emma, okay? Whereas if I say Ali plus James. Now it makes sense. The reason that Lisa and Emma, let me just bring that Lisa and Emma as well. Okay. The reason that it's giving an error here is because we haven't assigned Lisa and Emma to anything. Okay. Whereas Ali and James were assigned to some, like data variables, basically. Yeah. And it's important to note that when you want to assign these values, I mean, like I could have had A, and I could have been like, I put James and Ali just to make it sort of right, A and B. Yeah. So you can use anything to assign numbers to, except these symbols that are here. And the reason for that is that basically you use them during commands. So you cannot, for example, come and say, this equals 3, yeah? You don't do that. Or you can't say that equals 3. Don't do this, okay? Definitely don't do that. These are in the slides, I think. No need to spend too much time on them. Numbers, reassigning, okay? So we all know, let's just look at A again. Right, A was 3 and B was 5, yeah? So we could do A plus B and it would give us 8 because it's basically adding 3 and 5 together, yeah? In a sense, A and B are pointing to the location where this number 3 is stored in the hard drive, okay? But let's not talk about, jargon like that. Just A is assigned to 3, B is assigned to 5. We are adding them here. You can always reassign. Yeah, this is very important. I know some of this would sound silly at the moment, like, why would I do this? But later on, when you start coding, you will be using these sort of things so much. Like reassigning is going to be an extremely important part, like in future. So what does reassigning means? It means if I say at the moment A is 3, if I say A equals A plus B, okay, I can do that. Here, I did a reassignment, okay? Right. So let's see A here. So now A is 8. But guys, this is one of those mistakes that a lot of people at the beginning would make. Did you notice I ran this and then I decided to add this comment here? When I did that, this green tick has gone. Yeah. When that happens, okay, so let's just do it again in case you missed it. Yeah. So I'm going to start again. So A is 8, sorry. A equals 3, B equals 5. Okay. And I'm going to call, let me just delete this. Why did it come here? All right. So I'm going to call A, and A is 3 because I assigned it to 3. And I call B, B is 5. And I'm going to say A plus B is 8. Thank you. Look at this again. So I'm just going to take this away. And I'm going to say A equals A plus B. So I'm reassigning A. At the moment, before I run this, A is 3, B is 5. But I'm doing a reassignment. I'm updating A. So A is going to be what A was before now, which is 3 plus B, 5. So it's going to be 8. So if I run that, cool, I get a green tick mark here. If I call A again, it's 8. Now look at this. Imagine you're coding, you're running a project, and you're like, oh, I forgot, I need to write something here. I am reassigning. Yeah, you do this. Yeah, just imagine you do this. And I'm going to look at that. As soon as I modified this, even just writing a comment here, just even writing a comment, that tick mark is gone. That's an indicator for you to know that you have manipulated this code. Yeah. If I call A now, obviously it's 8. Okay. But in case I was like, oh, I forgot to write this and I press this, yeah? Now I'm gonna run A again. It's 13. It's because first time I did it, A got assigned to number 8. It became 8 because he added 3 to 5. And then when I forgot to write this and I went and wrote it and I ran it again, it reassigned it again because it now went by saying 8 equals 8 plus 5, yeah? This is one of those mistakes that a lot of students make, yeah? So please be aware of that, like usually. So when you make these modifications, that green tick goes, it means you have changed something, okay? So don't just go and click it. Try to see, was it something that would affect rest of your program? But later on, we will come to this, okay? But it's good to highlight it now. I'll tell you what. Uh, For today, I'm gonna end it at this, yeah? But later on today, I will send you some homeworks. What I want you guys to get familiar with and get comfortable with, yeah, is go and play with these basic stuff I just showed you. Most importantly, for those of you who are new, because later on it will be so, so, so important, yeah, is to go and become familiar with this environment. Try to create new Colab files and delete them, okay? And try to organize your folder. I want you to become really comfortable with this because gradually, as we move on in the following lecture, like weeks, we will be getting it gradually more complicated. And I will be sending you files. I would be asking you to open it. I might send you a code file even that I want you to modify and do stuff. So I really want you to fall into your comfort zone here. And you can of course go and sort of try to practice a bit of these numbers. Those of you who are at higher levels of Python, obviously that's fine. You don't need to do anything at the moment. But for those of you who are really fresh, just go and become familiar with these very basic stuff that we covered today only. All right? So I finished the class just after 1 hour today because this was the introduction. I wanted you guys to sort of break the ice, feel comfy, that we are starting this. But from next week, it's going to be, like code, code, code. Yeah. So I really want you to become familiar with this Google Colab environment and sort of have a good feel of it. Yeah. So if you're okay, I'm going to end it now. And we are going to be meeting up next week, Thursday at 6 o'clock again. I will send you a new link for that. Does anyone have any question or is there any confusion? Yep. Didem, go ahead. All right. Do you want to share your screen with me? Yeah, let me stop sharing and then you share your screen with me. 5 minutes? 5 minutes. Five. Let me stop sharing so you can show me what's going on. Um, have you shared it yet? All right. And those of you who don't have a question, you can leave. That's fine. Yeah. And thank you for joining. Thank you very much for joining, guys. Yeah. See you next week. Uh-huh. Um, can you send me a screenshot? Yeah. Email me a screenshot. Okay. All right. Cool. No problem. No problem. Thank you to them. And Raul, did you have a question? It's going to be usually I go to 7:30, yeah. But this week I finished it early because it was just the first week. I want you guys to go and now sort of get comfy with this platform to start with. It is simple, but for following weeks, I don't want anyone confused, like suddenly stopping the lecture because like you are confused about the environment or have questions about it. So I want you to go and explore this environment so you're comfy for next week. But usually it's going to be until 7:30. By the way, what do you prefer, guys? Do you prefer it to be from 6 to, because we will be running it till March, yeah? So I can compensate. If you want me to run 1 hour, if you think 1 hour would be better, because I know you guys get tired during the day, you have other lectures. If you think 1.5 hour is going to be too much a stretch for you, yeah, provided that a significant number of you tell me that, yeah, 1 hour, then I will go with 1 hour. But if you're all happy with 1 hour and a half, then we can stick to 1 hour and a half. So feel free to let me know. And I look at the stats to see how many people, wanted to what time. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, at the moment it will be starting at 6. If there is any alternations, I will let you know in advance. Anything else? Okay. Fantastic. Well, guys, you have a pleasant evening. Thank you very much for joining. I hope that in almost 6 months' time, you're going to be all masters at this. Yeah, I really look forward to this. And don't forget to to get the official LSPU certificate, which you can basically put in your CV and take for your job interviews. You are required to attend 70% of the lectures. Yeah, because we get a statistic report off from it, afterward. So make sure if you want that, you attend minimum 70%. Otherwise, always feel free to drop me an email if you have any confusion. I love helping you guys. So don't be shy. Drop me an email if you need to. If you need any help, I'm always there for you. So fantastic. Have a good evening, guys, and take care. No problem at all. Take care. Bye bye.